Okay, Rupert, in part one, you mentioned Winston Churchill. Now, people know you are a baronet, you're Sir Rupert Mackeson. So I'm assuming that the Bad Baronet of the Mackeson dynasty was brought up in a palace very similar to Winston. Is that your childhood?
Yes, I was brought up in a very large country house, you know, but my father wasn't. My father was very much a self-made man. He was a good soldier and then became a politician.
Was he
and
a
a
military man?
baronet.
He was a military man, your father?
Yes, my father was
As a career military man.
in the Scots Greys.
And your grandfather was the Mackeson dynasty.
Yeah,
Is the
my
Mackeson.
grandfather and great uncle had a little brewery in Hythe, which they sold in 1921.
And that was the Mackeson brand that we know today.
It was very, very small, and then when it was bought by Whitbreads in the 50s, they used the stout. They spent a lot of money expanding the stout business. But it was a tiny little brewery.
Okay, and before you went into being a jockey or riding out horses, you had some very decent education. Your father spent some money on your education.
Well, no, the first place I went to was paedophilia hall called Maidwell. It was run by a paedophile. The most ghastly man. He probably had 60 boys, and he managed to beat at least 6 every night and pull one's hair. Then I went to Egley in Somerset, which was a lovely place, and then I spent 5 years at Harrow in the same house, headmaster's house, 50 or 80 or 100 years before Churchill got educated. So I saw him 4 or 5 times at Harrow on songs. We used to sing songs.
Now you were, I read something you wrote that you were brought up pretty much by a nanny. So was it a bit of a lonely sort of childhood?
I didn't have a very happy childhood. My parents were immensely ambitious. My father showed less interest in me. He needed his gun dog. I was brought up by a very lazy nanny, and one got up, one had breakfast at 8:30, then one went to walk. Time I was 8, I couldn't write my own name, so it was a bit of a struggle when I went to paedophilia hall, i.e. Maidwell.
So what was your your schooling and then your military background, your military career sort of mapped out for you 10 years in advance?
No. I decided I wanted to play with horses, so I went to university in Ireland, because Trinity Dublin, when I went there, was a Protestant university, and the local Catholics couldn't go, so it's very easy to get into Trinity Dublin when I went there. You could get in, and you won't believe it, with 5 O levels. I did, in fact, have some A levels, but a lot of English people went to Trinity.
Okay, and I'm just interested, you mentioned your grandfather earlier. You told me that he moved, after he sold the brewery, he moved to the country and I'm quoting, tried to become a country gentleman. So what do you mean by that?
Well, very sort of middle class. My grandfather and his brother, George Mackeson, who was a brilliant cricketer, they were just perfectly normal people living, in semi-detached or terraced houses in Folkestone and Hythe. But when they raised a bit of money selling the brewery, my grandfather decided he wanted to be a country gentleman, so went and bought a house near Canterbury and tried to live a grand life. I found an obituary in a local paper. They just laughed at his grandeur.
It's a bit of a snooty obituary, is it?
Yeah, a snooty old bastard.
No.
I think pretty humorless.
On the back to the book, which is why we're revisiting you, but I could talk to you forever. But on the Frankie Dettori's British Classic Winners book, why did you decide to write it? Was it when he announced he was going to retire?
I can't remember. Yes, it must have been when he was his last season. I think perhaps a good test of a jockey is what he does in the classics, or perhaps at Ascot. The chips are down, everybody wants to win the classic. So there's no quarter given. I think, you know, to win 23 classics, okay, Leicester did 40, it's a great feat. I mean, nobody's, I think, done more than 12 or 14 since the war. Leicester and he were just great jockeys. And there's been plenty of other great jockeys, but just they had that edge on the day, the classic day.
And so you've got friends in high places. John Gosden wrote the foreword.
Yes, I mean, Gosden's always been a most wonderful person to me. He sees me, he used to see me at Epsom a lot, and if he had anything with Frankie on it, he used to take it from me and go down and get Frankie to sign it. And we send, he likes books, he likes pictures, and like so many people in racing, if you're polite to them and you don't hassle them, they're very helpful to artists and to writers. So Gosden's, you know, like so many people, a very nice man. Obviously a brilliant trainer.
So which of these classic winners would have been the most memorable for you?
I think the ones when he, I haven't got the book in front of me, when he came wide, I can't remember quite recently, when he comes wide, I think, you know, he's just got this wonderful feel. I mean, the day I thought the greatest race he ever rode was when he won the Arc. Came wide, drawn wrong, didn't panic. You know, he's an individualist, he thinks, like Leicester.
And how many of those victories that you've written about there do you think he won because it was him?
I think probably he's probably on those 23 races, 6 were great rides. But the other ones, it's so instinctive, you know. He's an instinctive rider. Suddenly, he didn't plan it. He's in the front where horses want to go. He let the horse go. He had great empathy for what he was riding. Leicester had this empathy. And I thought Mick Canaan rode a great race on when he won the Arc. You know, he just, you know, they're 3 or 4 pounds better than the average jockey. I'll tell you, I thought on his day was a wonderful jockey, was Dunwoody. I thought 1 or 2 of those races he rode over fences were just superb.
Now, you've written this as a proper historical document in great detail. I'm assuming you had to go back and revisit a lot of these races. It wasn't all just done from memory, and you've looked into the breeding and in the book there.
I do say earlier on in the book, but really it shouldn't be in my name. It should. I mean, probably the greatest racing historian is a chap called Jim Beavis. He helped me a lot. I did the left-hand pages, he did the right-hand pages. So it would have been a mammoth task to do it by yourself. Jim Beavis did the research for me.
And which one that you witnessed personally would have made the biggest impression on you, do you think? Which ride would have made the biggest impression on you?
Rider.
Which ride of Dettori's winners?
What is it may saying? I think that Frankie's greatest ride was in a classic, was Soul Sister this year in the Oaks. It was magnificent. Just the same, it was a very similar race when he won the Arc on Golden Horn. I think that those are two, I don't think those, Frankie on Soul Sister and Frankie on Golden Horn in the Arc were as good a ride as any jockey has ever ridden in the classics. And that includes Fred Archer, because I know a lot about Fred Archer. As you may know, I've written books with perhaps the greatest racing historian of all time, John Welcome, and he taught me all about Fred Archer. No, I thought Soul Sister was wonderful, and as was Golden Horn in the Arc, absolutely superb.
Okay, Rupert. Frankie's first classic winner was in 1994, and his last was this year.
Yes.
He's had some scrapes along the way, as well as some fantastic rides. How do you think he's managed to stay on top for so long?
Well, I mean, he's a great jockey, as simple as that, and determined. I think you, the public don't realise what a tough life being a top jockey is. You've got to be tough and determined.
Okay, now I'm assuming that when you decided to write the book and pen the last chapter on Soul Sisters Oaks, you're expecting him to actually retire. So
Yes.
what price do you make an updated version of this book being required?
Even money. He'll be back for Ascot. I mean, I think it's very hard for these people when they're living that high-powered life just to walk away from it. Dunwoody found it hard. I think and there's no need to retire. I think he may have got a bit bored, and I think you make a new life in America. I mean, I think he's very lucky. He has Gosden as such a close friend. Gosden will be pushing him and advising him about America. Gosden made his name in America. No, I think he'll be okay. I expect to see him at Ascot this year.
Now, this book was published by Pen and Sword Books. There's been a few other racing books brought out by them recently. Have you got anything else in the pipeline?
Yeah, there's a couple of books on the pipeline. I do a book on coming out in August on Winston Churchill's racehorses. There's been nothing on his racehorses, so I do that. And Pen and Sword, and I edit for them, so I work for them. And there's a book in the pipeline. We haven't signed the contract, but I hope to sort the contract out next week.
Now, I heard rumour of a book that's got a terrifying title.
Who?
It's a book that's got a terrifying title. Uncle Nasty's Bedtime Stories. Now, what's
Well,
who's Uncle Nasty?
I've been Uncle Nasty for many years, but that book has had to be postponed because I've been sort of waylaid to do the Churchill book, and I've got to deliver it by the 1st of April, so I'm under pressure.
I was a bit worried it might have been a big, massive pile in the in tray for the Pen and Sword legal team before it was published. That's not the
No. Interesting. As I sign the contracts, I'm the editor. I'm a person. If any libel goes up front,
Now, of course,
very, very careful. It is incumbent on editors to be careful about libel. One really doesn't want to get mixed up in that.
right, and finally, of course, the book that we're all waiting for.
Oh, well, I in fact have, with the help of Jim Beavis, quite a lot is done already.
Is it because the last time I spoke to you, you said you were still waiting for a few people that say...
No, he's gone. He's gone. The ghastly little mafiosa, Zilka's gone. He went last year, aged 99.
So we catch you hanging in there. Well, hopefully we'll speak to you. We'll complete these interviews with the trilogy, talking about the your book when that comes out. So,
Okay.
Rupert, thank you very much for talking to us, and good luck with the new book.
Yeah, okay.
Okay, Rupert, I've just had to put all this back together again. Tell me what the last thing Frankie Dettori said to you. There's no swearing in it, is there?
I haven't spoken to Frankie, as it happens, for some time. It was a few years ago at Epsom at the spring meeting, and he comes up to me and he says, "I no sign for you. You bring me bad luck till the season finished. You send me stuff. Season finished, I sign." He did. I sent stuff up to Gosden's yard, good as gold. As soon as the season was over, Frankie signed lots of prints for us.
We didn't bring him much bad luck this season, did you? That's for sure.
No, I don't think I did bring you any. But it's typical of Frankie. I no sign for you, bring me bad luck till the end of the season.